Hello and welcome to Tech Deals. We have a new branded video card to review today. Galax, less known in the United States but far more known overseas, at least from my point of view since I'm in the US. Galax is a regular maker of video cards, and this is a GeForce GTX 1070 Ti at what appears to be very reasonable prices. Now in this video, I'm going to take this out of the box, take a look at it. I'm going to put it on my test bench back there, do some performance and overclocking tests, take a look at the sound and the heat and the noise and see how well I like it and whether or not it's a nice card compared to the others, and then give you my opinion. Link down in the description below will not be links to Amazon.com and Newegg because it isn't sold there. It is, however, sold at Amazon.co.uk, Amazon France, Amazon Germany, and those links will be down there, as well as to the US-based store directly from Galax because they were nice enough to send this to me for review. I've never covered them before because, again, in the US it's not as common. They're not sold at Amazon.com. But I've gotten a lot of requests from viewers in the past, why don't you cover Galax? Why don't you cover this or that? And, well, because they're not as readily accessible. But I actually have quite a few viewers in Europe. A minority of my viewers are actually in the United States. About 1/3 of the people who watch my videos are in the US, with 2/3 being overseas. So this video is for you. Before we get started on the video today, I want to talk to you about Fanatical. Fanatical is a website that I recently became affiliated with. They used to be called Bundle Stars, but renamed themselves. They have amazing values, daily star deals, great bundles. You can often get Steam games for $1 or less each bought in bundles. All of their keys are sourced directly from the manufacturers. This is not a key reseller website. It's all 100% legitimate, authorized by each of the game companies. But what they do is they essentially go out and they buy large bundles of keys directly from the companies and then bundle them for you, hence their former name Bundle Stars, but now Fanatical. I have bought a ton of Steam game keys personally from them before I was affiliated with them and absolutely can recommend them. If you're interested in amazing value for the money, if you want to pick up some indie games or some bundles of games or even discounts on new games, check out the link in the description below, get amazing deals for you, and support Tech Deals in the process. Having said that, let's open this up and see what it looks like. This will be my first ever Galax video card. I'm actually kind of curious to see what's inside here. For those of you who are regular viewers of my channels, I've covered basically all the major brands many times. I've used all the major brands. So it is not often that I get to cover something truly and completely new to me. Well, that's nicely packed. There's a sheet of foam inside and form-fitting foam. I like seeing that. We have a user manual which says put it in your computer. Easy quick start guide, put it in your computer faster. And a driver's CD that none of you will ever use because you go to nvidia.com and download the newest drivers. Now this is interesting. I can't remember a video card that provided adapter cables, especially at this level, for a 6 and an 8-pin PCI Express power connector. Yes, you heard me right. This 1070 Ti has both an 8-pin and a 6-pin connector. Now, that should hopefully mean that it's fully overclockable because that's a lot of power. But what they've done is they provided 2 adapters, 2 Molex connectors on each end, 1 6-pin and 1 8-pin. That might be unique. I don't remember ever seeing that for a card of this level. And now we will take the beast. Oh, that's nice. The beast out of the box. Oh, interesting. That is, this will be interesting to see what it looks like plugged in and turned on because it has got a backplate design that I have never seen before. I'll zoom this in for you, but this is a clear piece of what might be acrylic or plastic back here. There actually is a white backplate right here, but between the PCB, the printed circuit board, and the backplate is this piece. Is that, does that light? It looks like it might light up. We will find out when we plug it in. I mentioned before the 6-pin and 8-pin PCI Express power connector. 3 DisplayPort 1.4s. Want to run 3 monitors in NVIDIA Surround? Not a problem. It's got you covered. HDMI 2.0B, 4K 60Hz support, and a DVI port if you have an older monitor. It's white. What can I say? If you're looking for a white video card, you've come to the right place. This is not plastic, and that's actually a point worth mentioning. This entire shroud here, that is metal. In fact, the back plate is metal, the front plate is metal. There's not any plastic on this except for the fans. The fans themselves are plastic, but otherwise the entire card is metal. It looks nicely made. It looks and feels nicely made. Let's go plug it into the test bench and see how well it works, shall we? First, I want to provide some thoughts on actually using this card. It does run relatively cool and relatively quiet. Now, I don't really have a sound setup to do really good noise or measurements. I have a handheld sound detector, but all it does is give you a decibel reading. Instead, let me offer you this thought. The pitch and sound of these fans is extremely reasonable. It is not high, it is not a thump. Frankly, the card sounds just fine. I have no complaints to the sound of the card. The microphone on my camera did a really poor job of picking this up, which is why I actually took the audio out and I'm just voicing it over. Because again, I need a dedicated B-roll filming spot and I don't have one. This is just stuck on the test bench behind my desk. But what I will tell you is it was a very pleasing sound and it was very quiet overall. If this card were actually inside a tower rather than on an open air test bench, I think it would be frankly silent or at least really, really close to it. Now the white LEDs on the fans themselves that you're looking at right here, as far as I can tell, are always white, but that ring that goes all the way around it can be customized if you download their software. It is an RGB ring, so the big huge white light going around the edge can basically be customized. No, I didn't download the software and play with it, but you can see it on their website. It does have multiple RGB options for that right there, that thing, that piece of acrylic that runs all the way around the edge. It is probably the brightest video card I've ever used. I am going to show you two small pieces of benchmark runs here, starting with Assassin's Creed Origins. The card is overclocked here. I've got a plus 200 on the GPU and a plus 200 on the VRAM. I will show you a chart with a comparison of stock versus the overclock settings in just a minute, but the fan was not noticeably louder when the card was overclocked. It was not noticeably hotter. Frankly, it ran just fine. I had no issues. I tested 6 different games and the Heaven benchmark, both stock and overclocked, no crashes, no lockups, no graphical artifacts, so it overclocked very, very nicely. I mentioned when I took this card out of the package that it felt very solid. It had a very heavy heat block on it, the actual heat sink. These are dual 100mm fans, and so in terms of overclocking, it's doing really well. Notice that we are over 2 GHz on the clock speed here. That's pretty good. Would it go higher? Sure, we're at 66 degrees Celsius. That's not too bad. We're at about 50% fan speed there. Again, not too bad. Now we're in Far Cry 5. Now this is the beginning of the benchmark, so the fans are a little slower. The fans do speed up a little bit as the benchmark runs. You're watching the very beginning of it. But overall, cool and quiet, even overclocked to just over 2 GHz. If you want to take it further, that's certainly your choice, but the further above this you go, of course, the more temperature, heat, power, noise, etc. you're going to generate. I have been able to get 2.1 GHz out of many of these 1070 Ti's. Based upon what I'm seeing here, this one probably will do it as well, but there is a diminishing returns as you go above 2 GHz, so this is where I test it out. Now, over on the Tech Deals gaming channel are going to be all of the full runs of each of the benchmarks, 6 different games, and 2 different Heaven benchmark runs showing both the stock and overclocked. Now, you'll see the charts here, and so the only reason to go watch that, if you want to see it, will be if you want to see the entire actual benchmark runs. What I've basically cut short here, because otherwise this video would be half an hour long, and not very many people want to sit through a half an hour of built-in benchmarks. This right here is the stock clocked. This is what it looks like out of the box. Notice that the 8 gigabytes of VRAM is running at 4 gigahertz, not 4.2, and the GPU is running at about 1825, 1835 there, because this is the stock configuration. I'm including this just so you can see the stock configuration. I also ran this overclocked. Check out the Tech Deals gaming channel link down below if you want to see the full runs. That just leads us to the first set of benchmark charts, which is the average game performance in the built-in benchmarks of 6 games at 1440p ultra detail. Now, in general, I actually don't recommend ultra detail. I think high detail makes much more sense for the average person. You get nearly the same visual quality and much better performance. That being said, with the GPU overclocked plus 200 on the GPU and the VRAM in MSI Afterburner, yes, MSI Afterburner works no matter what brand NVIDIA graphics card you have. These are the average frame rates that you get. 63 in Assassin's Creed Origins, 88 in Dawn of War 3, 105 in F1 2017, 75 in the brand new Far Cry 5, and that is very well optimized. 47 in Ghost Recon Wildlands. That game is brutal, and that's a bit ridiculous considering that game is a year older than Far Cry 5, but whatever, it is what it is. Don't run that game at Ultra, run it at very high. Rainbow Six Siege, 131. If you have a 1440p 144Hz monitor, well, don't set it to ultra detail, set it to high, and frankly, this card will give you 144 plus frames per second average. Not a minimum per se, but even a 1080 Ti would struggle at that. Now, you may be asking, why am I not including the minimums? Well, this isn't really a benchmark video, this is more the graphics card video, and I didn't run each of these tests 5 times like I normally do, and it's not a comparison, and so I'm just including these to keep it simple, but what it does demonstrate is that if you want to play games at higher ultra detail at 1440p, you don't really need anything more than a 1070 Ti, and these are currently nearly half the price of a 1080 Ti. It is a better value for the money in the spring of 2018. This is the Heaven Benchmark 4.0. This is a custom setting of 1440p ultra detail. The standard settings are a bit low for a modern graphics card. The reason I'm showing this is to show you what the frame rate increases at typical detail and resolutions between stock speeds and overclocked. For those of you who don't know, the GTX 1070 Ti's are not factory overclocked out of the box. 1070s can be, 1080s can be, but NVIDIA made a rule for whatever strange reason that 1070 Ti's are all clocked the same out of the box. So this shows you what putting in a plus 200 in both of those gives you. It takes it from roughly 80 to 86 frames per second. Now, is that a worthwhile jump for the increase? That's a personal choice, depends upon the game and just how much you want to get out of your computer. But as I mentioned, multiple rounds of testing, these games, and yes, I loaded up some World of Warships and played that at ultra detail at 1440p as well. I had no crashes or issues, and the noise was not noticeably different between stock and overclocked on this card. Overall, it really is very nice. I do have one more bit of B-roll that I filmed I just want to show you because I started Edge on and I thought it looked really nice with the lights coming off of that big white piece of acrylic in the back. It really is a nice looking card if you're going for that white look. If you like the white frame, as I mentioned, it's metal on both the front and back, which a lot of cards quite frankly don't have. It looks very nice. If you are looking for a white graphics card with some very nice LEDs, some good fans, very nice metal construction, not too much heat or noise, and you want great 1440p game performance, you have come to the right place. Now, if you want very high frame rate or future-proof 1080p performance, a 1070 Ti might still be worth considering, but you can spend half this amount on a GTX 1060 and frankly do 1080p just fine, at least for the next year or two in any case. Stepping up to the 1080 Ti is nice, but very expensive these days, so I do think this is a good value for the money in the spring of 2018. Like this video if you like it, share it with your friends if you loved it, remember to subscribe to my channel with that big huge red button directly below. Questions and comments in the comment section, please check the links in the video description. Today's video sponsor will be down there. This graphics card, several of the European Amazon sites, their US store for you to check out as well, and they have some nice images of that RGB lighting on the ring, which I didn't capture because I didn't install the software, but if you want to see what that looks like, just keep in mind that the white LEDs here stay white. But overall, very nice construction, metal, cool and quiet. I give it 2 thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.